Warning. This program is intended for adults of legal drinking age. Whiskey is consumed and discussed. The intent is to educate our palates on the differences of whiskey flavors and not an intent to get drunk. Please drink responsibly.
United Kingdom on that map back there?
Hey, everybody. We're live. Welcome to I Fucking Love Whiskey. Yes, that's Scotland over there. That's the map of Scotland over there. There it
So
is.
this is Scotland, and it has all the distilleries listed. This is from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. Why do we have Scotland and whiskeys on our walls? Andrew?
What's on our minds? You know, I think the show might be called I
mean?
Fucking Love Whiskey. I'm Andrew
I think
Pierce.
you're right.
That's Joseph Limbaugh. And our super returning guest here today, Roberto Lewis. Woo!
Welcome back. Welcome back to the show, sir.
So happy to be back. Very happy to be back. Looking to pace myself a little this time. Still staying here. You know what I mean? Maybe not burn out before the end of the show. It'd be great.
Right.
It'd be great.
For those that are interested, you can probably go back on YouTube and see the past episodes and find Roberto's episode and just see what he's talking about. He was fine. He was fine. Nothing to
It's a very
see there.
entertaining episode. I had a good time. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well, you know, we drink 4 whiskeys on the show. They're kind of down in the corner there. Have a boo with those, and you can kind of skip ahead to that time code if you want to just see that one whiskey. Otherwise, we got lots of stuff to talk about. First, let's start on the whiskey. Let's start at number 1 here. Springbank is such a great distillery. This is Longrow. Their peated output, heavily peated. It's wonderful. It's delightful. It's 18 years old. I don't know what else you need to say about that. From Campbeltown.
There we go.
So let's begin.
Oh, wow. That smells like some sort of like frothy dessert. It's like, I don't know, like glazed pears or something, or like
I can see kind of a honeyed pear.
yeah, or like roasted pears, lightly roasted with like whipped cream on top of them, or like a cream made out of pears, or there's something else in there, something really specific.
What are you getting, Roberto?
I got sweet. I don't have the trained nose, but I got sweet.
I don't know how trained my nose is. I'm just making up words, man.
Your description sounded absolutely delicious.
I also feel like pears is like a pretty common note. The other, okay, I'll say this. It smells like, you know, the candy when you were a kid. I don't know if you had Lickum Sticks.
No.
Like it was like this candy that had basically like pixie dust. Do you ever eat pixie dust? Do you ever have that candy where it was just like powdered sugar? Pixie sticks, that's it. Yeah. So Lickum Sticks was like you had these packages of powdered dust and then this candy, this mildly flavored kind of vanilla-ish candy, and you would lick it and stick it in there.
Oh, okay, yeah. What's that called?
This tastes, it was called Lickum Sticks. And this tastes like the stick. To me, this tastes like the stick. Like, because the stick had a sweet flavor to it, but it wasn't overpowering. It just had this kind of generic sweetness to it.
So
yeah,
it's basically like a sugar-coated stick you dip more sugar into.
Yeah. Yeah, genius marketing. Like kids are gonna love this, and they're gonna be addicted
bounce off the
to it.
walls with that stuff.
Yeah, this it's, to me, it's like a cream. Are we tasting it? We're tasting it.
I'm going in. I think Roberto went in, so I'm gonna go in.
I went in. A bit of bite right at the top there.
Woo!
Yeah, more heat than I expected. Although this is, what are we at here?
46.
46%. Although that seems like more heat than I would expect for 46%, honestly.
What's the percentage at which you would start to expect like a lot of heat?
Usually you get up in the 50s before you start really feeling it, but 46 is still, you're nearly halfway there.
Although we had a starter, which was like,
43 or something.
Yeah. So but I would say 50 is where I usually, but then sometimes I've had a 50 that's real smooth.
Yeah.
And there's no heat at all.
Sometimes we've had stuff in the 60s that you kind of go, I didn't notice there was alcohol. That could be dangerous.
That's dangerous. Then you try to make a castle or something and everything's all, what happened? This is still pleasant.
It is pleasant.
Take your time and it's like, you're rewarded for it.
I went to the dentist to have my teeth cleaned at 3 p.m. today. So this is really active on the gums, and I don't know if you're finding that too, but
I'm not. Although it definitely burns in the mouth area. The nose is so light and open and fresh, like a field of like, you know, like marshmallow trees, you know.
What you're saying makes
grown. What's that?
Light and open and fresh. I'm like, as you were saying it, I'm like, yes, that totally makes sense. I wouldn't have known the word until you put it there. But yeah, I agree, because it's like it hits harder than it smells, you know.
Yeah, the taste is different. The taste is like a dye vat underground with like, but still filled with sweetness. It's like if you took harvested all those marshmallows, put them in a vat of acid, and then it was like, now marshmallows will burn you. Then that's what the flavor is. Let me see if that's true. Now I've only sipped it once.
It kind of takes this like raisin turn in the finish. Like you get some little sour kind of dried grapey sort of thing.
It is quite sour. The nose is sweet, but the taste is tart.
So bizarre.
Yeah, it's like sipping delicious battery acid. You filled up your hearts. You filled up all your hearts, or did you get an extra heart? That's the big thing in Zelda, is to get an extra heart.
I got an extra heart. I got an extra life. This stuff, I'm telling you. Longrow also does like a red wine cask finish. They call Longrow Reds, and they don't always come out. They're hard to find, but if you do see one, it's worth kind of looking at that.
Now I am getting some of that acid, that battery acid on the nose. No, I'm getting a bit of it. And there's something else in there, like I don't know, like laundry detergent, or like clean laundry, or like, you know,
I was thinking like a blanket that's just been washed, sort of.
Yes. Yeah, like you just pulled out of the dryer and it was washed like with like a lot of detergent, and like has a strong scent of that. Oh, that's so interesting. It's weird that I like this. What is wrong with me?
It's whiskey. What do you mean it's weird?
You know, I take that back. I don't like this. I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's like
we suspected.
I am interested to see what science does to this, because it's so interesting. I think I don't mind sciencing it, because it's doing weird stuff. Even though it's like at 46%, but I think I'm interested to try it.
It's worthwhile to try.
just a drop, right?
Drop.
Yeah.
That's what we start with. You can always add more. You can't take it out.
True.
Whoa.
I think that that little sourness comes out on top of the sweet.
Yeah, now that edge is there in the nose, and I kind of like it though. Like, it's interesting. Like, I kind of like that edge.
I may have asked this last time, but explain to me how this works. Why is it that a drop of water makes a difference?
Well, the alcohol is hydrophobic, so it pushes the alcohol molecules away from the esters and the other things in here that are where the flavor resides. You know, the things that are left over from the malting, the things that are absorbed from the casks. And so you should be able to get more nose and more flavor with the water. It should open that out.
Mm.
Should.
That's
sometimes
the
though,
theory.
Sometimes though, I find it knocks down the nose, completely the opposite of what you'd expect.
I do feel like the scent is lighter.
Yeah. It's still very.
Oh, alcohol is hydrophilic, not hydrophobic.
Oh, sorry. Well, I should have asked that.
I mean, that would make sense, because like it wouldn't mix with, like, it would float on top if it was hydrophobic, right? I mean, I'm not a scientist.
So it's like it's pulling it in and leaving more making the rest of the, like you were saying, the stuff that is absorbed from the cask, what is it, sort of by just congealed together in different spots in the alcohol?
It would, but it actually mixes in because it's hydrophilic. So it is mixing with the alcohol, but it's not like oil and water, right? As the Tipsy Asparagus is saying, it's not like oil and water, because you would see the water would just float on top if it was hydrophobic.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what like there is like an interaction between the molecules of the water, which is just a very simple molecule, and the alcohol molecules and the phenols, and those are very complicated molecules. And I think I'm not sure what happens there, but it's chemistry. It's science. It's just science. Right.
That's it. I mean, the sour bit is hitting me way harder now.
Oh wow, there's more information here. It forms hydrogen bonds with water and enhances the solubility of an alcohol in water. Okay.
Oh.
See, adding water is science.
Mm-hmm.
It is science. Everything's science. That
I think it's pretty good with water.
So do I. It gets rid of the sweetness, but that tartness I kind of really like. Like it gives it it
feels like you're doing something. Like, for example, like I've always never been super into Jameson, just because I feel like it's so smooth that I feel like I should be getting a little bit of a punch in the mouth, so I know I'm doing something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This, I feel like it's like
there's alcohol in this. There's no there's no gray area there. It's like, oh, this is booze.
Yeah. Yep. A firm handshake.
There's also a little bit less of a burn for me.
Yeah.
I would say on the ending there's less of a burn. I'm also getting more of a savory note in there, like a toast, like a buttered toast in there, or like something roasted with the water. I wonder what Thad thinks.
You said this was peated, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm a little disappointed by that labeling, but we'll go past that. But for me, I
wouldn't have guessed this was peated if you hadn't mentioned that. It reminded me of,
for the nose, like I was getting wintergreen mint, mild soap, Crayola orange crayon.
That's pretty specific.
Do the colors of crayon smell differently?
No, but it's just the color that came to my head first.
Yeah.
Although I do think they do have scented crayons now. So
they do, yeah. But I mean, because Thad, I love your tasting notes, but I'm going to call you out on that one. I feel like you're just trying to be. You can call me out too, because I mean
find any color crayon.
Okay.
Better.
Thank you. That is verisimilitude, and that is what we care about on the show.
Right. You're right.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
For the taste, like I really didn't get much heat from it. I got toothpicks. It was dancing on the tongue, but I wouldn't call that heat. It was more like bubbly and effervescence. And then there was sour and tartness. On the finish, I was just getting, fermented apples, which, I don't hate. With water on the nose, it actually brought out sweetness for me, and I was getting like sweet bread from it. But it made the taste have a lot more anise for me, and that kind of
I just realized that the nose reminds me of cedar wood.
Mm-hmm.
Like in vanilla. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Definitely stays with me on the tongue. Definitely. 100%.
Yeah, that's a nice long finish on the tongue. It coats that. Awesome. Are we ready for number 2? Because I think I might.
We're slightly early, but let's move ahead. I think we are.
Just like a minute, 30 seconds. Just watch. It's going to take me a long time to reach over here and grab the second bottle.
This is
delicious earthy smoke. This is a
SMWS.
SMWS, 10-year-old Caol Ila refill ex-bourbon hogshead, filled in November 12th, 2009.
Delicious earthy smoke. Well, that sounds fucking promising.
You see these names of the bottles. You can't taste them beforehand, but you see something like that and you go, you know what? I think that's my flavor profile. I think I'm going to like this.
All right, here we go.
All righty.
Wait, Roberto's getting his.
Yeah.
Oh this is my favorite whiskey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, that is more sweetness in it than I expected, but
I don't want to lead the witness here, Roberto. So if you get it,
I know. Damage is done. You've prejudiced the
and now it's gone. Anyway.
Yeah, too late. You missed it, Roberto.
The sweetness is gone.
Wow. Ooh. Well, that's I feel like I'm at a like at a See's candy or like a Cinnabon or something.
Yeah, with like that almond brittle or something.
Yeah, I had some toffee, like some English toffee before the show, like about a couple hours ago, and this is kind of reminding me of that. It smells like caramelized sugar, but also like caramelized to the point where it's practically burnt, like, you know. Oh, and that smokiness is down in there, and the peatiness, it's down in there. There's also like, the smell of like a lawnmower, like the engine of a lawnmower running. That
greasy cord.
A little bit of mowed grass, that maybe like mowed grass that has been put into a bin and is on fire. Oh boy.
And you know what I'm finding in here too is that I fucking love whiskey.
I don't cheap. The sensation of smelling it is like a pleasure of its own. I'm like, oh, I could just do this for a bit.
Yeah, this is one of those you can just sit in the nose.
Yeah, that's always like that's like the you know, one of the things about whiskey is like, if you get a good one, it's like, I don't want to sip this. I mean, I really want to sip this. Don't misunderstand me. I want to sip the shit out of this. But I mean, I could nose this for like an hour.
Yeah, we're going up a jump here. This is 57%. So we jumped up over.
Holy Mongolian.
ABV.
Oh, so I should be prepared here.
Yeah, let's get prepared. Let's go in. Let's see what this is.
Whoa.
That's a finish. Hamana bumana.
Oh boy.
It feels gentler than the last one, though, to me.
I would agree. There's still a lot of heat, but I think it feels slightly gentler. Andrew does not agree.
I am getting tons of heat off of that. Yeah. Like how that's transcribed.
Now the nose and the taste to me are like, well, after the taste, like to me it's like dried wood chips, like sawdust, like that's out in the sun. You know, you go to like I don't know. There was this park called Enchanted Forest near Portland, Oregon, and they had like it was like a cheap Disneyland sort of thing for kids, right? It's still there, I believe, and they had like wood chips everywhere, and just the smell of wood chips out in the sun, just dry, like fresh sawdust.
Yeah, but some kid has dropped some sweet popsicle or something in that sawdust. I don't know. I find that.
Yeah, there's like a old style confectionery store there in a fake Western town, and they've made they're making like, you know, burnt English toffee in there.
A little toffee spinner.
This is my favorite whiskey for sure.
Interesting. I'm having the feeling where it's like I like the finish, and then it starts to like kind of like, I don't know if sour is the right word, but I feel like I need to take another sip in order to get back to that early finish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think compared to the last one, this is a shorter finish.
Yeah, and it does have like, I agree, Roberto. There's like a funky note in there on the finish.
Yeah.
That's like the attack, like the original taste is great, and the funky note is kind of like, I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's like the park is closed, and there's like kind of some,
get out, I'm going down.
That popsicle is rotting, or
because I was thinking as I was taking this first sip, I was like, oh yeah, this is like good encouragement to sort of take my time. But then after a while, I'm like, oh, not too much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to get back there.
Yeah. I need another sip or need water.
Yeah.
Andrew, what flavor is that popsicle?
I believe it's orange crayon.
Oh yeah, no,
Now
that makes sense. Yeah,
The curiosity
you
is
nailed
now,
it. I know exactly what you mean when you say orange crayon. That's a perfectly valid tasting note.
Yep. Thank you.
I just like to imagine Thad's going. I mean, he's probably not because he's super chill, but I like to imagine it.
I just think he's going to give me a big negative love for whiskey square.
I deserve it. I deserve it.
Revenge.
I mean, I don't really because I fucking love whiskey, but whatever. Oh man, nothing safer than a field of splinters for kids. Hey, you're right. You're right. I feel like there used to be a lot of sawdust at Disneyland too. Didn't there used to be a bunch of sawdust like over in, maybe I'm wrong, like in like the frontier
forest?
town or
Frontier, maybe
Frontierland? I don't know.
Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of because we did go there as well as kids. Yeah, that's where all the sawdust was.
So after that nose, though, I'm not sure. Like that nose had such original promise. I'm not sure that it's my favorite anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah, I could hear that. Like it really out of the gate, there was a lot of, the nose had so much promise, and that first sip was like, oh, I think we're going somewhere, and then but now
No, yeah, you got in the car with your parents, you're going to go for a great ride, and they get on the freeway, they get off at the next exit, and they stop for gas, and then the car breaks down. Like,
or you think you're going to Disneyland, but you end up at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, see. What was the mascot at Knott's?
Did they have a mascot?
Woody Woodpecker or something like that?
What was it, like Rocky and Bullwinkle? Am I getting that confused?
I think you're thinking of Six Flags.
You might be right.
Maybe. I know Six Flags has like, I think the Warner characters like Bugs Bunny and whatnot.
Do they?
Yeah.
I always think of the guy, the dancing guy from the commercials.
Oh yeah, the old guy.
The old guy from
the big glasses and
yeah.
I mean, it was such haunting imagery, but I was like, that's super smart because I will remember,
I will, and on my dying bed, I'll be like, oh, the Six Flags guy.
You ruined EDM.
That's what I looked like. Oh, Knott's had the Peanuts characters.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're putting science in this, and we're seeing what happens.
Did science. Look,
it's time to see it.
Big science day. Huh.
Something in the nose, maybe a potato, like earthy sort of something.
I smell like a potato. It's like if like you put a potato and a pineapple into a teleporter, and they like they like merge together and came out kind of sort of roasted on the other end. Like a transporter.
Kill me.
I feel like that's going to be like a CGI movie where it's like, like where like because you have an anthropomorphized potato and he gets it's like a teleporter gets in at the same time. Like,
in French they're called earth apples. So you got a pineapple and an earth apple.
La pomme de terre.
Pomme de terre. Exactement. So you've got a pine earth now.
Now I'm smelling pine trees. Now that you've said that,
I feel like
a little bit
suggestible too.
The water sort of rejuvenated the original mouth feel. I mean, not the original, but it's like, oh, I like this new note, whatever that is.
It's a little lighter, and it gives it's a little lighter. It gives it kind of a tart, little bouncy beginning. The finish still kind of slow and sour though.
Yeah. Although
it's great for the first like 30 seconds, and then it's like, all right, well, you're out.
It's the dinner guest that stays too long. You're like taking the plates away, and they're like still talking, and you're
like taking his socks off and stuff.
Hey, we should do this more often. And what do you say? Hey, you want to smoke a cigarette? Let's smoke. I'll get some smoke
right here.
You know what? Or cigars. We could smoke some cigars. What do you
lie
say?
down on the couch if you don't mind.
Oh man, I wouldn't mind another helping of that.
I love ice cream. You guys got ice cream?
Got
Oh,
it.
that was good spot.
You know what? I'll look in the fridge myself.
I'll just find it. I'll find it.
So awesome.
Thad, what do you think, Thad?
I really enjoy this. I would say like right off the nose for me, I got fresh printed paper, some homemade whipped cream, vanilla, custard. And then when I went for the taste, I completely agree with Andrew with Hamada Bamada. Like just, ooh. But past that, I was getting some Concord grape juice in there. And then on the finish, I was getting some dry white wine, like in the Pinot Grigio family area of stuff. And then with water, I agree. Like I got earthy potatoes. It brought out some sweetness for me, and it was lighter. And then on the taste, like I was getting like tart berries, like maybe like a tart berries that were like reduced, like a cranberry reduction type thing.
But then maybe a blueberry one.
Yeah, you know, not necessarily cranberries, but like the tart berry family.
Right.
It's funny you say grape because I was going to ask Andrew, did I ask you what flavor the popsicle was?
Yes,
I wanted
you
to
did.
ask you because I thought it was grape personally, but
It may have been. I just went for the joke. So,
what did you say?
He said Crayola orange crowns or orange crayons.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. These are strong whiskeys we're having today.
Yeah, I know. It's already knocked that out.
So the real question, is it crayon or crown?
Crayon.
I say crayon.
Crayola. It's Crayola
Oh,
crayon.
Crayola. That's the brand.
There's a link once again to Corey's GoFundMe. So
He's
help
just
him
got
out.
out of his second surgery. He's starting to post things. He's been able to stand and like make dinner, which would have been unheard of, before the surgery. So great stuff from him. Really, really sending hearts out to Corey.
Wow, I feel like we're zooming through these. Like I'm ready to go to the next one. It's already 5:27. So
right,
I guess
well, we're almost there. Well, Roberto, you say you're
wait a bit.
A writer as well as an improviser. I know I've seen your improv. I love it, and love watching it. But what are you writing? What's going on there?
I mean, like in general, I'm like if it has words, I'll accept money to write it. But like right now it's a lot of sketch comedy. It's a lot of like product descriptions. It's a lot of like social media wrap up. Like that's mostly what I'm writing right now. And so, but like the sketch stuff is the most exciting right now, and also the most like the word that comes to mind is like mysterious, where you're trying to sit there and you're trying to like talk to your brain and you're like, I need something funny and I need it in 2 hours. How are we going to do this? You know what I mean?
And your brain's like, we'll see. I have some ideas, but I'm not going to give them to you right now.
But not now.
You need to type in a panicked way. Otherwise, they're not going to be executed properly. Yeah.
Yep. Or I'll give you that idea right after the meeting. You know what I mean? Or like right before you
or
go to
during
sleep.
the meeting, or during it. It'll be like, but the other thing I was thinking I would have added to the sketch I was going to add is this that I didn't just think of.
Yeah. You know. So, but it's just so I love the joy in sketch writing too, because it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not so grandiose. You know what I mean? You're just like, you have one little point that just will stick with you and just make you laugh, and you're just mining at that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want to hang
find
the scene off of.
That perfect specific idea, then it's like, it's nice. And for me, like the challenge of sketch writing is like finding something that is unique. You know what I mean? Like it's like because there's so much sketch out there, and it's like, so it's like finding, wait, no one has mined this little corridor. I found a little nugget. It's kind of like mining. It's kind of like mining,
Yeah.
What do you think?
Have you had I've had this experience so many times where you're like, you have something, and everyone's like, oh, this is great. And then they send you a link to like when Key and Peele did it, or when like someone did it on Saturday Night Live like 15 years ago, and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we would do sketches at Acme, and then something very similar would show up on Saturday Night Live, and people are like, "Oh, they ripped you off," and it's like, no, they didn't. They just they thought of the same thing slightly after us, and no one watched our show. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like the writers there were like going, "Dad's Garage. Let's see what they're doing." Oh, that's a good.
yeah.
Were you on Top Story Weekly, Joseph?
Top Story Weekly?
Yeah, because you said at Acme.
Acme Comedy Theater. Yeah, it was like a thing in Los Angeles for a while.
Yeah, because
was there a show called Top Story Weekly?
Well, there was a show on Top Story Weekly was at IO, and they moved to Acme like a year, maybe 6 months before Acme moved to North Hollywood.
So I mean, I was gone by then. Like I was, I was a old school Acme, not even total old school, like from 2001 or 2 till 2012, I think. Like, yeah.
I imagine even like a stovepipe hat and a pitchfork in front of Acme.
I mean, that's what I wore every day. I had a pitchfork and a stovepipe hat.
I don't know if you remember back in the noughties, that was
pretty popular. That was the fashion. It was the fashion.
Yeah.
The pitchfork was ceremonial. It was a ceremonial pitchfork. It wasn't.
Right. You had to have corks on the end. You couldn't really.
Yeah, you had to have corks on the end. The cops would go it's fine. You have corks on your fork. Yeah. Wow, we've really
turned a left turn there.
And now it's time for another whiskey.
Tipsy Asparagus in the chat is asking, what's the favorite product description you've ever written?
Oh,
the favorite product description I've ever written. I think it was so. There was a period where I was writing a whole bunch of descriptions for like almond milk, and like there were all these different versions of almond milk, right? There's like sweetened and unsweetened. There's like this flavor and that flavor. There's low sugar. There's whatever. And so like there are like 4 or 5 different beats you have to hit in the. So there's like, so for example, one is like whatever. It's a very smooth mouthfeel. One is that it's like it's like only so many calories. Another one, it was like, I don't know, all organic ingredients or something like that. And so you have all these points, and then you have a long description and a short description. And then I remember when I started doing this thing, I thought, oh, I'll write the short descriptions first because that's easier, right? But it isn't at all. It's like you have to start with a long thing, and then you have to slowly chop words out until you get it to like whatever under 280 characters or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so the actual specifics of the best description I ever wrote, I can't even remember, but I just remember, oh, I was able to get them all into like 2 sentences that would fit in a tweet. That I was like yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was like one of the founding fathers or something, wrote this like 18-page letter, and he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't have time to write something shorter."
Yeah,
I don't remember who that quote was from.
100%, right? Yeah. Because you're like, well, yeah, what's a smaller word I can use that carries the same connotations?
Right. How can I cut out 5 words out of the sentence? Like,
it is one of the secrets, I think, of professional writers is that the rewriting is the important part. Yeah. And like everybody gets hung up on the original writing, and it's like, no, you can write just some crap, and that's fine. And it will actually not be crap, number one. Number two, then you can turn that into something good. Like, writing is about rewriting, but.
So, I mean, that's always been the hardest part for me too, because it requires a faith that like right now when you're like, oh, whatever I write is going to be crap. You need that outside faith that like, no, you're going to take whatever it is and turn it into something.
And you'll find something along the way, and that might lead you. Yeah. You just got to, and then that's the work, is going back to it and going, okay, now let's make this look good.
Putting the ego aside and like shutting off the voice that's like, you suck.
Ooh. Old Pulteney, Shades of Black, a 13-year-old, 52.36. This is first fill XPX, that's Pedro Jimenez sherry cask, hogshead, reformed as a hogshead.
Shades of Black, that's kind of evocative.
And this is certainly the darkest one that we've had today. Look at how much the sherry has influenced that. I
also I want to say this is the first time we've had an SMWS, the previous one, that we never read the notes from SMWS.
Oh yes, and I was actually thinking about that when you said the long description. I was like, oh right, yes.
But you know what? I don't think we need to. Let's just have that be the one we never. Let's read the notes for this one. But
okay. Beginner question. SMWS refers to what?
The Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
Oh.
And they started out as a bunch of like-minded people, kind of like us. And they said, we can't get single malts. We can't get a single distillery expression. We always get blends. So, I mean, but I've tasted the single malts. They're fantastic. So how do we get them? And they thought, well, we could just go to a distillery and ask to buy a cask. And so they drove up to Glenfarclas, and this guy came in like a Toyota or something. And he said, I want to buy a cask. They said, oh, sure. And, he laid out the money, I can't remember how much it was at that time, probably, 3,000 pounds, 4,000 pounds. And then they kind of like opened the trunk and was like, well, this isn't going to fit in. They kind of put it in the back of his car and strapped it down. And that was the start of it. And then now you can become a society member. They've got all sorts of casks from all the distilleries that they're storing and aging. And then every month they have an outturn or 2 outturns, one mid-month and one at the start of the month. And you can just buy these bottles. The problem is there's only like, it depends on the cask size, but for this one, there's 248 bottles were produced from this cask. And so there's no tasting of it in advance. You just have to go from the description, which they have long descriptions. This is a shorter version of what's on the web. And then the name of it, and it tries to give you
what the distiller, also the distiller, like if it's a distiller you like, it's like,
right. If you like Distillery 93, you go, oh, there's a 93 coming out. I'm interested in that. And if the tasting notes kind of like kick you, then you buy the bottle. So it's a crapshoot. Sometimes these are fantastic. Like this last one, I think if I tasted it in advance, I probably would have gone, well, I've got a lot of Caol Ila. I like a lot of them, but this is not a standout necessarily. Where this one I really hope is a standout.
Can I ask, can you read the description?
I think we'll taste it first.
We always taste it first, so it doesn't
we're not influence
us.
Smart. Yes, of course. Oh, this is a deep,
isn't it?
Color here. Look at that.
Purd.
And what was it you said? This is an Amorosa cask, so it's like a sherry cask? Or...
Pedro Jimenez sherry, yeah.
Oh, Pedro Jimenez, yeah.
Ooh, this is a sweet one. This is all like a bunch of caramel.
Yeah, that's like fermented fruit to me. Yeah, it's like fermented fruit, or like it really smells like sherry, like like an aperitif or like a dessert after dinner sort of drink.
The rich syrupy kind of.
Or port. It actually kind of reminds me of port more than sherry. Like I used to try for a while, I drank port and I was like, I don't know what it implied, why I was into it. Like it's such a weird, but I was.
It was the hard alcohol. It was the hardest alcohol my dad drank was port. He loved the Porto. Yeah. And so
I could never, I remember having a friend who she was in a phase where she was super into port. She'd order it every time we went anywhere, but every time, maybe the first two that I tasted, it was always bad luck for me. It was always bad things. So I was like, but I know it's good that it's out there, but I never.
Yeah, I'd rather drink the port in this. Like I'd rather have it in this than because I grew out of that. But.
What did you move on to? Yeah.
Something I fucking love, Roberto.
You remember your first whiskeys?
Yes.
Tell me.
I do. Mine was Cuddy Sark. Bruce McCull and I went to the Pointed Sticks. I think that was the punk band. And we drank like a 40-ouncer of Cuddy Sark together. And I was so sick. I crashed in the university newspaper lounge and puked into a trash bucket.
But you were like, I'm going to use this later as a name drop.
You're like, I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you remember your first?
My dad had, I don't know what it was. I can't remember the name of the whiskey he had. He had like a cheap whiskey. He drank all the time. He would smoke Robert Burns cigars out when he was working on the car. He was rebuilding this old Cord that he never got rebuilt. But I remember that out of the garage. He would work on that. And then he had this whiskey he would drink. And I would after I got into tasting things, having drinks, I would sneak in and pour some of it, pour a little out and mix it with Coke usually. But the time when I really started getting into whiskey it was Lafroig. It was, that was when I was like, oh, what is going on with this? These are some smells and flavors that I've not had in my life. And yet it reminds me of smells and flavors I've had in my life. That to me. And then, then it was all uphill from there.
I think a lot of people, when they encounter peated whiskeys, if they like it at all, were like of the mindset of like, I have never had a liquid taste like this. I need to explore this. So I was,
and yet it's so full of nostalgia. It's weird, this weird juxtaposition of like, I've never tasted this, but I know that I have in another life.
Another life,
when I was a child or whatever.
I think
right, I'm gonna taste this.
Should we go?
We gotta taste it. Oh wow.
Yeah, the heat is like light, you know what I mean? Like a tiny little bite at the beginning, but
maybe a little.
I'm getting a lot of heat. This is like I just took a sip of liquid fire. Like this is the most burn of all of them so far.
Really? And I'm kind of in between you two. I find it at the end, I get the heat. So yeah, everyone's got their own experience.
Interesting.
Definitely syrupy thing.
Yeah, syrupy. Yeah, it is like it has like there's like a fruit syrup sort of taste to it. If fruit syrup was made by gods. It does. This one does really make me want to like, I took a sip of it and now I'm like, I really want another sip of it. Like I like the nose is still great, but it's, you know, sometimes I will take a sip and I'll be like, I just want to sit with that for a bit and I want to like nose it. But this one, it's like, I want to taste that again. It's so interesting.
Old Pulteney. It is probably the second ugliest distillery in Scotland.
Yeah.
What's the most ugly?
It was Bunnahabhain, but they've torn down a whole bunch of it and they're rebuilding it. And so maybe next time we go in May, some of us, Bunnahabhain will be prettier.
And maybe Old Putney will be the ugliest of distilleries.
It may come back to that. It's kind of that gray stucco with gravel kind of pushed on the outside. So it almost looks like a prison.
They take their whiskey seriously.
Yeah. That whiskey's not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not here to look good. We're here to make whiskey.
Right when it hits the tongue, it's magical. Like right that moment, that light kind of sparkly, like it's great. And then it gets kind of like this sort of darker syrupy, more like almost a cough syrup kind of thing at the end.
Yes, that little burny, wonderful cough syrup. Because I actually like cough syrup. I like the taste of
it. There is, when I took my first sip of this,
like the red cups.
Sorry, Joseph.
When I took my first sip, I really tried to do the thing where you hold it in your mouth, but it hurt so much I couldn't do it. So finally, with this sip, I was able to, and it's something to try, Roberto, if you haven't tried it. Like try to hold it in your mouth as long as possible and move it around. And it's worth it. It's worth like powering through if there's a bit of heat or pain, because it really like you get some really interesting flavors from doing that.
Feel that. I'm definitely finding more pleasure in the heat than I'm used to. I'm kind of used to a lot of times not when I'm not taking my time, it's kind of like slugging it back and kind of rushing past the heat or whatever. But that's you gotta taste it.
And that's one of the reasons I love whiskey so much is that, I like being able to take a sip of something and it being an entire experience. Like, it's I don't feel like I have to rush it. Yeah. And I feel like I guess it's good. It's good to be reminded of that in the world we live in, because I rush so many things and we all do,
I remember going to, I was invited to some event, went upstairs to the bar, and I mentioned my current favorite is Basil Hayden, having Basil Hayden. And it was strong enough that it forced me to take my time. I was probably there for half an hour with a single glass. I'm like, yeah, honestly, I get it. I get it, right? It's taking your time is the point.
It's part of the experience for me, like that I'm still experiencing it now. I've got nothing in my hands. It's been about a minute since I last took a sip, but I'm still experiencing this whiskey. I fucking love whiskey.
This does have a real long finish. Like it's still in my mouth. It's got like, it's still
especially there. When you hold it in your mouth, like you were saying.
Yep. Thad, what do you think?
Like it, like moving towards that. I guess it's that sherry dessert wine kind of thing, like that shows up when you're holding it.
There's like a Bailey's cream in there too. Anyway, Thad, what do you got?
do you got?
Lay it on us.
Sorry. And I really like this. Really, really like this one. Like, this is one that y'all are saying, like, yeah, I could just sit down and nose this for 15 minutes and then finally try it. But, like, right off the nose for me, it started off with some, like, Sprite flavored wood, and then it moved to, like, a dry red wine, like a Syrah, which, I mean, I guess that's probably the sherry, honestly. But then past that, like, deeper down in there, it reminded me of, like, an amber maple syrup. Like, it was very rich, very bodied, like, just sweet, and, like, very nice. And then, like, hidden underneath everything, I got hints of cocktail sauce, like ketchup and horseradish and horseradish mixed together, like. And I love cocktail sauce. I think you can't eat shrimp without it, like, unless there's butter. But if you don't have butter, then you got to be dipping into cocktail sauce. But getting past that, for the taste, it was very woody for me, and then, like, some light soft fruits like pears, or maybe some, like, mushy apples or something, boiled apples or something. And then on the finish, it was savory for me, which I liked. But it reminded me of, like, some charred flank steak, like, right off the grill. It's rested for 5 minutes. You cut into it. It's not completely well done. You put it in your mouth without adding anything else to it. Like, it was very nice.
Should we read the tasting notes?
Yeah, let's.
I'm going to science it while you do that. I'm going to go ahead and science it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laying out on a blanket next to a campfire, just eating some caramel. That's what I got. Okay, so the soft fruits of apples, pears, and tangerines merged with Oloroso sherry before oily sardines joined flint rocks and wood char. Then sultanas, raisins, and figs found sea salt covered chestnuts as we ventured onto a palette of ginger and licorice. Juicy red wine notes of black cherries and jam joined burnt driftwood with salty notes suggesting brine. With water came the salted dark chocolate, marzipan, and hazelnuts with an obscure combination of hot crust buns and shellfish. Heavier oak now shone through with tree bark, cigar boxes, and wood tannins, but with black coffee, toasted barley, and puffs of oily smoke that lasted long into the finish. After spending 11 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, this was transferred to a first fill sherry oak Pedro Jimenez hogshead for the remainder of its maturation.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting, like, for me, I'm getting, like, pipe tobacco, like unburnt, but, like, when you smell, like, when you fresh pipe tobacco. Yeah, that was such a great experience nosing this while you read that off, because this is so complicated. It has all that stuff in it. It is a journey. The nose is a journey. Yeah, so far I like I put some science in, and so far I like what's going on. I haven't tasted it.
This is by far, for the nose, my favorite whiskey thus far. This is phenomenal. And after 2 peated ones, to find something non-peated that is this amazing.
I mean, I like that with water. Maybe it's because I don't know if it's water, but it's like the heat is gone, and I can really access the flavors without that pain that was there before. Yeah. And I mean, this is almost 60%. So that's unsurprising, that, right?
That water can tamp it down that much on the alcohol.
It does what you hope water will do. I think that for this one is like what they say water will do is it opens it up and lets you really get into the flavors.
Oh, this is a fucking awesome draft.
Yeah. Roberto, thank you for joining us for this. I'm so glad you're here.
I am honored, 100%.
I was thinking back when you were talking about writing sketches, and I remember, early on, one of the guys at Loose Moose and I were writing sketches together, and in Canada there had been all of this, like there was elk meat that had gone bad and was being sold, and there was caribou meat that had gone bad but was still being sold, and so people were getting sick from it. And so we wrote this sketch where we came in and we're trying to buy some wild deerish kind of meats and stuff like that, and we wrote it and we thought it was so great, and we came in and we started performing it, and just in front of the audience, like I could see 2 or 3 lines in, we were both looking at each other going, fuck, this is the Monty Python cheese sketch, and we're just transposing it to meat. And we're like, oh fuck.
If it works, it works. Right?
Yeah, well, I think the audience felt the bottom drop out from both of us at that time. It's kind of like, oh no, they're gonna think we're just hacks. We had no idea.
I do love the process of like writing a sketch, and you have the idea and then going and pitching it in front of, like, if hopefully you have a writer's room, and then getting that feedback of like, oh, I've discovered, like, and being open to that idea that like, yeah, I wrote this sketch, but it's not finished. Like, once I pitch it to people, they will give me, they might find something that I rewrite the sketch around, you know. Then going and taking it in front of an audience, and even then it's like, like I've been on stage and been like, oh, that's why this is funny while I'm on stage,
right?
You know, like it's such a fun process.
Did you let it be scenarioed at that point? Like, could you go off script if something came to you?
I mean, we allowed a certain amount of that, but it's like our show was live, and we, you know, like, and we had a celebrity guest. So
the guest
but yeah, there was a certain amount of that. If you found something, yeah, you should lean into it, but we didn't go generally too far off, you know.
Super brave. It's super brave.
Yeah.
If you have a scripted show and you're gonna like leave that's super brave.
And well, we also had like sketches that were written to kind of go off. Like we had sketches that we do at the end of the show where we would have like, we would all be drinking during the sketch, and it was like we knew this was going to be chaos. There was a, you know.
And that's, I mean, we started doing just improv, and then we started scenarioing the sketches, because we did an improv in rehearsal, and we thought, okay, this is the good start of it. Like, I love the basis of this. The kid is trying to eat and the mom is not, and like whatever. And then we would do the sketches, and sometimes they would hit. Then we would do them again the next week, or, you know, a few weeks later, kind of work them into the show. And eventually those scenarioed ones become more and more scripted, and you kept adding a line that would just be perfect for it. And that's how we kind of developed our writing skills, is like, oh, this is how you refine. This is how you refine. And, you know, by the end of it, you have this sketch that's just like gold, and everyone just loves, and you're like, we couldn't have written that from the start. That was a process to get there.
And I think there's also then the factor that like different audiences have different vibes and reactions. I remember going to, right when I got to LA, meeting people that were kind of in the scene, and going to see this one group's show a couple of times, and then realizing like, oh, I see, it's like you perform the same thing every time, and seeing how like there was one the script did where it was like this weird sort of dark kind of family scene. And everybody, it's kind of like the Austin Powers thing, where everyone's laughing and they keep laughing until it becomes uncomfortable, and everybody in the room is uncomfortable, and that becomes funny. And watching that sit with different audiences, and everyone had, some people are like all on board. Oh, I know what you're doing. It's this anti-comedy thing. Oh, hilarious. Other people are like, I don't like this. What you know what I mean?
I'm actually uncomfortable.
Pushes the button regardless. Yeah.
That's so much fun. I was just reminded of the time by looking at the clock.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. We got to go on to number 4, because we're getting down to the wire. Now this
little pale compared to the last one.
A little pale, but you know what? This is our highest hitter right now at 60.9%. This is Sweet Memories of Autumn. It's a 12-year-old. And fall, autumn is fall for those of you in the US.
No, we have autumn. We call it autumn, Andrew. It's
that was a big thing in Canada. I always heard Americans say fall, and we always said autumn.
No. We use both. Autumn. We know what autumn is.
Okay. We don't like to read here in the United States.
We like less syllables.
That's what it is.
We know what autumn is, but fall is quicker. It's quicker.
It's more efficient.
Fewer letters. Autumn is for posh people. Yeah.
I'm very excited about this though, because I do love autumn. It is probably my favorite. It is probably my favorite season.
Oh yeah.
I love Halloween. I love the smell of the trees when the leaves fall. And I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and so I'm very excited about this. Fall is definitely my favorite season.
Okay, much paler, but let's see. Oh, very different nose. This is.
There it is, though. There it is.
I get the fallen leaves almost immediately. I can see why they put autumn in this.
Yeah, the wet piles of leaves.
It's clean. It's a cleaner sweetness than the last.
Right? Yeah. And I don't know how to describe that cleanness, but you're right. It's not dark. It's a very bright.
It's not syrupy. It's just like a note of.
This does smell like this does live up to the expectations. It smells like every Halloween that I've ever had, like this, but the not like
Candy
the
corn.
idea of
Candy
Halloween candy corn or just the bag of candy when you were a kid and you got it, because and this and being outside and the whole experience of it.
Because there's kind of the smell of the plastic pumpkin in this as well, I think.
Yeah.
You guys have that? The
candy.
Halloween pumpkin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You going in?
And
not yet. I'm still. But if you need to go in, we'll go in.
No. I just want to make sure I'm not behind the curve here.
Yeah, I could sit in this nose for a while though. This nose is phenomenal. This is my favorite whiskey.
Very sugary.
I want to rake this whiskey. Rake.
Oh, Andrew sipped it. All right.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna like it. I think you should send it back. I'll take it back.
60%, huh? Okay, here we go.
Okay, now that's 60%, but it does not, although on the very end, there's the heat. But
yeah, all right,
that sip did not feel the pain for me.
No, compared to the other ones, this goes down a little too easy.
But then it burned all the way down the back of my tongue.
Did you do the hold it as long as you can thing, or was it
I did, and I was able to on the first sip. Like I was able to hold it quite a while. But then when I swallowed it, then it was like, by the way, I'm 60%. I am 60% ABV.
Did you forget?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When you swallow, it's like, know who I am.
It's like Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
Where are the plans to the rebel base?
I find your lack of faith in me disturbing.
Your nose was misleading.
Darth Vader's nose is misleading because it looks like a skeleton nose, but when his mask comes off, it's just a normal nose.
Yeah, he's just a dude who chose wrong. Should have gone for the high ground.
We could all be a dude who chose wrong,
Yeah,
true.
But you know what? We chose right because we fucking decided to fucking love whiskey.
That's correct. And Andrew has 3 hearts on his chest, so
I do. I've leveled up again. Ding, 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 ding.
Well, three hearts is kind of where you start in every Zelda game. That's the very beginning of the journey, actually. Andrew has actually never played any Zelda games.
I've never played any Zelda. Or if I have, those brain cells are now gone.
I only played the second one. The second one.
The second one, which one do you mean? You have to name it because there's so many of them. Like you're talking about the Link to the Past?
No, like the second one on the original NES. The first time when it was like side scrolling.
The first one is side scrolling. The second one is Link to the Past, isn't it? No, the first one, you're right. The second one is side scrolling. I've never played the second one.
Top 3 quarters, right?
Right.
It's called The Adventure of Link.
It's called the what?
The Adventure of Link.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's the third one because the second one is the one where maybe it was
the third one is Link to the Past. That's the first one I played was Link to the Past.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't know if you know this, but this is a fucking amazing liquid. This is
There is one thing though, and that is that I fucking love whiskey.
There was suspicions raised at the beginning of the episode. I'm glad
now they have been confirmed.
This is not for amateurs though. I feel like
no.
I can't tell if it's just because I'm 4 whiskeys in, but like it definitely is like, it's
this means business. Yeah.
Although I feel like it. I don't know. I feel like amateurs, like there's like a hoity-toityness to whiskey that I feel like everybody should get into it. You know what I mean? Like that is one of the things, like of the principles of the show. Because I think as long as you know where you're going, like I think taking these steps up, then I think this is an accessible whiskey to anyone. Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about it is like hearing what people have to say about it. Just anybody.
Right. And as we discovered, like we tried to do a show with bad whiskey and we're going to try it again. We liked the whiskey.
They were all good.
They were all good.
We liked them.
It was crazy. So who knows?
What were your bad whiskeys?
There were ones that were probably tried after having something like a single malt, and then going to this blend, and the blend was like, "Are you kidding me? That's not whiskey." Ugh. But if you come to it as the first whiskey you're coming to, our warm-up whiskey, you know what? That's a pretty good whiskey. But if you came to it now, you'd be going like, I can't taste it, or it's got notes that I don't like or something. But
it's all heat.
It is. I think that is the one like inner secret that I feel like everybody should know. Like the thing that if you're going to try whiskey is the order you drink them in is important. That is the one thing that I feel like I want to like preach to everybody is like, don't go from like a 50% whiskey down to a 30%, 46% whiskey. You know what I mean? Like go up in alcohol. Like it makes a huge difference, and be aware if there's peat or a strong flavor, like you can't then go to something more different. Gentle. Yeah. You won't taste anything. It'll be like drinking water,
I mean,
and this is from Caol Ila. This is the thing he did, because we produced a lineup every week of 10 bottles, and he would order them. And the thing that he kind of hit upon was like the alcohol percentage matters more than whether it's peated or not, whether it's sherried or not. The ABV actually means a lot in terms of what you can access. And only occasionally would he go kind of like, well, this is a peated one at 54, and this previous one's at 53, but they should swap places. For the most part, it was always ABV. So just start without ordering.
So you should be going upward in
Yeah, and if you have to go back to something lower, reset with a couple sips of something at 40%. Just have a great bank note or something around that's like a fantastic blended whiskey. Just kind of like,
where have I seen bank note? Okay,
we gave it to you last time, probably.
Yeah,
I bet that's what your starter was last time, because that's what.
But if you're really in the know, you call it Ben Canote.
Like Don Quixote. Yeah, like Roberto, if you were to drink this like 60% like as the first thing, you would be like, you'd be like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like 100%. You have to have something before drinking a 60%. You know what I mean? Like otherwise it's I
don't remember if I mentioned this in the last time or not, but
so you're sciencing it already? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Roberto. Yeah.
But yeah, I got to college, whatever, and you're like drinking whiskey at parties. It's like, it's whatever. It's garbage. You're like
a party
sipping in the dark, right? Nothing. I had no concept of what whiskey truly was. And then this woman I knew, Mira Balakumar, shout out. We're at a bar. She ordered me a Glenfiddich over crushed ice, and she was like, "Try this," right? And it was like, oh. Like you could actually, it was the first time I actually was like, oh, let's actually think about what this tastes like. And you know what I mean? And the whole idea was just like finding a way to get in to allow you to sort of take your time. So it's not super harsh. It was perfect. It was absolutely.
That's perfect. A great introduction. So that was your first whiskey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't technically the first one I ever ingested. It was the first one where I'm like, oh, thinking about what I'm drinking.
Kind of noticing. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would agree, because, when you're young, it's always like, oh yeah, I'll have a rum and Coke. I'll have a, some mix in there. So you're not noticing the alcohol. You're trying to disguise the alcohol. And just not.
Dude, I drank so many peach wine coolers. Like what the hell?
Really?
Yeah.
When I was a teenager. Yeah. And then, but like, it's like, I've tried, like if you like Bartles and James, that was like a huge deal when I was a teen. And it's like, you try to taste that now, and it's like, or any of that stuff. It's like drinking soda pop that's more sugary than soda pop. Like it's like I would rather have a Coca-Cola than drink that. It's like so sweet, right?
Yeah, it's like just covering what it is you're doing. It's like Bartles and James. We know you're going to get fucked up. We'll make it as easy as we can. You know what I mean?
We know the taste of our product doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it was Seagram's peach wine cooler. I drank so much of that when I was like, young. This is way better than that though. This is oh, go ahead.
You can't drink this casually. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm engaged with the beverage. You know what I mean? If someone comes in the room, I'm like, oh, hold on.
Excuse me. I'm with this whiskey right now.
Yeah.
You
Don't
take
talk.
a number. You take a number, and you come back in a bit.
This may take all afternoon. Just
Yeah.
all my calls.
Although, who's answering your phone these days? Like, what's that?
Yeah. Nobody answers.
Tipsy Asparagus is saying they probably added more sugar back in the day too, as well, and I can believe that. I remember Baby Duck. Was that something? It was like sparkling wine. It was one of those.
I think they added exactly the same amount of sugar as they do now. If you're talking about wine coolers, like I think,
Zimas. You drink Zima? You guys drink Zima?
Never.
I have before. I know of it.
Exactly.
And I've tasted it.
I'm not advocating as a life practice or anything, but in there, right?
That's like Zima is like when I see like I'm in the store and I see like a hard seltzer, it's like a like a La Croix, but it's got booze in it. It's like, why would you do that? Like,
no. I mean, yeah, but Zima was that plus an extra tablespoon of sugar. That's what I feel like. You know what I mean?
Like if I'm gonna mix alcohol with anything, it's gonna be ginger beer. Like that is the one mixed drink I really like. Is like a
Moscow Mule.
A Moscow Mule, or even a Kentucky Mule if it's bourbon.
What's a Kentucky Mule exactly?
It's bourbon. It's bourbon, and
instead of vodka.
Yeah, instead of vodka.
Okay.
Yeah, or I do like a good old fashioned. I will say.
With water, the alcohol.
You science already?
Is gone.
Oh, you already scienced?
I did.
Know.
Yeah,
I haven't scienced. Wait, are you saying yes or no to science?
I'm saying yes to science, actually, because
fair enough.
This is the least alcohol I'm tasting, and it could be, yes, of course. I've had
the least alcohol tasting. I feel like I'm out of school or something, because this seems I'm grappling with this. You know what I mean?
Right. And totally, I totally get that, because when I first sipped it at the end, it totally took me down. But right now, and it could be the 4 alcohols that we've had beforehand, the 4 whiskeys we had beforehand that are talking to me, but it's not with water. It's the least sting I'm feeling. And that could be also
there's still some heat in there, but it's more, it's spread out. Like before it was all on the end and burning the tongue, and now it's like it's spread out. Oh, I fucking love whiskey.
What was not to love? I want to see Roberto's.
Yeah.
I want to see his evaluation of it. No, loosen up the neck, cracking the neck, getting the free radicals out of the neck.
Ooh, it's nice right at the beginning. And then the heat creeps in. Ooh, the heat really creeps in. Yeah. Oh yeah. That end is like a licorice, Oof. Yeah.
It's like getting clobbered by a licorice ogre.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, open your mouth.
Do you want to hear what the SMWS says?
Yeah, sure. Yes. What do they say?
They say the nose was an autumnal fusion of leaf mulch and fresh mushrooms, and I think we would agree with that, with salted toffee and sweet, chewy butterscotch. Aromas found equilibrium between the strong herbal notes of dried rosemary and the confected mishmash of pink marshmallows and fudge shrouded in a cloak of buttery pastry. That's the flower.
The fudge.
The palate stimulated the senses with the sweet and spicy tingle of peppadew peppers. Peppadew? I don't know those. Peppadew peppers. Peppadew. It's Peppadew. With a sprinkling of brown sugar and warming ground turmeric. A dash of water exposed to fruitier affair as dried cranberries and damsons moved towards lychee jam, I guess, and delightfully oily sophistication of aged Riesling. Oils turned towards green olives, toasted sunflower seeds, whilst the finish suggested the presence of banana skin and well-weathered wood.
Isn't it?
I just want to say, we, a British guy and I wrote a paper back in the 80s and submitted to SIGGRAPH, and we used the term whilst in it. Well, Gavin did anyway. And the reviewer came back saying the use of the word whilst has caused cancer in laboratory mice. And I thought, funny.
Whilst is it's like a semicolon. right? It's a bit of a flex that you have to kind of like rise to the challenge of, you know.
It's like spelling jail.
Whilst that is true, I will say this. I really like it. I like that word. It's pretentious, and I it's language is fun.
Confers authority. If you use whilst, I'd be like, oh, this guy must know what he's talking about. Let me hang on.
Whilst you may have a gun pointing at me, I feel that your ability to wield that firearm is not with any sort of skill.
Oh,
and I shall not be giving you my funds on this day.
You have fair, but you have convinced me.
I said
go
good
on
day,
your
sir.
way with your gold.
I said good day.
Why did you let him go? Well, he said whilst, and I couldn't,
authority. Clearly, he
said
was a big muckety muck.
Yeah.
You know what, you guys, I would love to stay here all night and talk, and we can talk after the show as well. But Roberto, I hate to get all serious on you at this time. Joseph, help me out here.
Roberto, we have a question for you, something that we need at this time for you to answer. And it pertains to whiskey.
Okay.
Andrew,
You've had 5 whiskeys now, 4 on the show and 1 warm up.
I have.
And you've experienced the flavors, right?
I have.
And the heat and the experience of each one.
Definitely the heat. The finish, the syrupy finishes. Absolutely.
So about whiskey, the question we have is, do you like it?
I've actually prepared some remarks on this exact topic. Let's see. Oh, here we are.
He's a writer. So I'm glad he's done that.
Oh, you know what? Let me turn back to the. There we go. Here we are. Saturday, March 5th. I fucking love whiskey. There it is.
I mean, I knew you were a writer. I didn't realize how good a writer you were.
Sometimes it's about the simplest things. You know what I mean? You have to go right to the idea, right? Don't complicate it.
Roberto, can people where can they watch you, follow you, do whatever? What's the thing?
Yes, I am on Twitter and Instagram, but mainly Instagram at blah blah goals.
Just follow him there.
GOAL.
Delights me every single time.
I think that's a good sign when your handle makes people laugh right off the bat. That's that. Now talk about clever and very specific writing. That is coming up with a handle that's great. Yeah, I love that.
Well, thank you. Yes, and yeah, they're on Instagram. There's a link in the bio that I usually update all my upcoming things. But yeah, I'm on 2 improv teams that, please, if you're in the LA area, come out and see us. One is Forever Team and the other is Pug. We're performing at the West Side Comedy Theater and just in general around town. So I post stuff there. So yeah, come and check us out.
And you can see previous Pug episodes, I think, on Outpost 13, right? You've a bunch of them.
Outpost 13. They might be on Outside in Theater, but there's a link in my my link tree off of IG that has all of the last year's performances of the Pug Hour, which is Pug performing a Twitch-based show. Yeah, just dumb long form improv. Come on and check us out.
I want to thank Outside in Theater. I want to thank Thaddeus for being just the best taster ever, and it should be his show. I don't know why we're doing it, but whatever.
Thank you, Thaddeus.
He's awesome. Thank you to Geek Filter for our graphics. Thank you to other people for things. I'm so bad at this.
And also to things for other people.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, our guests. Subscribe to this channel. Link, like, and subscribe. Because that's what you should do.
You guys.
That's just polite.
Yeah. And may you always fucking love whiskey.
May you always.
I fucking love whiskey, gentlemen.
Slage.
Cheers.